is BJ Counsel. I view the world through the lens of having been followed by a white clerk as a child while shopping in a five and dime. I'm a retired police executive and own UN50, which gives guidance on surviving interactions with police.
I'm Harmony Chavis, and I view the world through the lens of one of the most misunderstood and diverse generations in our nation's history. I'm a social worker and a believer of radical kindness and love as modalities of healing.
My name is Andrew Counsel. I view the world through the lens of a generational camera phone. I wake up as a black male and go to bed as a black male. I am surviving this never-ending court case we commonly call life in the best way I know how.
Welcome back to UN50 2021. We really appreciate you, those of you that have been with us through last year and joined us when we started out. And for those of you that may be new to UN50, we podcast here out of the Bull City in Durham, North Carolina. My co-host is Harmony Chavis. And my other co-host is Andrew Counsel, who is my favorite nephew. He's not joining us. He's celebrating a birthday with some friends in Colorado. So how's it going, Harmony?
I always feel so awkward when you put me on the spot like that. Can is this going to be recorded like with our faces?
Yeah.
Oh, and we're going to put it out to people?
Well, you know, right now, and I'm glad you said that, because what we've done, I think those of you who've been following us, we actually are available on Apple iPod podcast and also Spotify. So a lot of that is mainly audio. So if you're worried about that, so send your friends to Spotify and Apple, then you ain't got to worry about anybody looking at it.
Because it looks like with this filter, I guess I should have done my ponytail higher. It looks like I'm bald, first of all. Can you see my lashes? I got them done today.
Oh, did you? Oh, cute. Yeah, see, you do look cute. That is cute.
Thanks.
So
I know, it makes you feel like you got a whole like face of makeup on, even though you don't. Like,
right, and you're not going anywhere. So
no,
you're just being cute in the house.
Yeah, I got like so this. Let me tell y'all.
Okay.
So I went to get my toes done yesterday, and he was like, "Do you want gel polish or regular polish?" I was like, "Gel polish," and he was like, "What kind of pedicure do you want?" So I was like, "Let me see the menu." So I said I wanted to do the lavender one, and it was $45. He was like, "Yeah, well, that one's $45. Is that okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he was like, "And we add 15 extra for gel, so 60 total, okay?" Woo. And I'm like, "Okay." So then I felt like I had to low-key flex. You know what I mean?
And for a boomer, what does that mean?
It means like show him that I have the money to spend, but then I remembered that like I'm not a drug dealer. I have a 9 to 6 p.m. job. Right. So I didn't flex on him, but it really, you know what I mean? It's like, sir, I'm newly not broke, but beyond all else, I can read.
Right.
And I can do math.
So I guess
that's how my 2021 is going.
So inquiring minds want to know. So you got a $60 job done to your feet?
I did, plus a tip, which was hefty, you know.
Oh, cool. Good for you.
Thank you. You.
So if anybody wants to see her lashes, you can go to our YouTube channel as well.
My girl Taylor Keeping at Amazing Lash Studios. She should pay me for this advertisement. Let me stop giving people free advertisement. But yeah, 2021 is off to quite a chaotic start. I really feel bad for people that were genuinely optimistic that somehow the world was going to change when, you know, the clock struck, what was, I guess, 12, right? Not 12:01, it's at 12.
Midnight, yeah.
Yeah, at midnight.
Yeah.
I don't know, like, obviously the only thing that we can control in this world is really ourselves. And I think a lot of people were just, I don't know, just so desperate for things to be different than they were.
Yeah.
And that just makes me sad.
It is. I saw this meme, so at least we had a good first 5 days of 2021. It's kind of sad. Yeah. So, but, you know, talking about 2021, we want to continue to do the work that we do, and we look forward to people joining us. Harmony and I have been out riding bicycles together and hanging out and stuff like that.
I knew this was coming. I knew it was coming. So let me go ahead and tell the story before you get to tell the story. So BJ and I biked together, and it was 7 a.m. on a cold Saturday morning. I haven't been on a bike in God knows how long, and this is my first time ever riding a road bike. So if you don't know anything about bikes, road bike tires are super, super skinny. the seat is too high and I cannot adjust it. So I hopped on my bike, I ran into the grass a little bit because I had on gloves and couldn't really feel my hands. And I face planted, not into the grass, either on the cement.
Yeah, she did a good roll. She did a good body roll. She did a good tuck and roll. That's for sure. I was like, you all right? She was like, yeah. She was laughing. So no blood, and she got back on. So the lesson learned is dust yourself off and get back up and keep it moving.
Oh, BJ, I thought that you were going to say something that was like offensive and way less sentimental. Look at you.
No, I got all the rest of 2021 to do that. So I don't want to start out on the first day. So one of the things that we kind of wanted to just share with you for 2021, and I shared this with Harmony a few weeks ago, is that, we're going to be bringing on guests to really continue to talk about interaction with law enforcement and perspectives, but just bringing my truth to that as a Black female executive and what I see and the perspective that I'm bringing from law enforcement, and then also the perspective I bring as a Black person, looking at these situations, and also, this constant discussion about, we talked about defunding police, and we're also going to continue to talk about that a little bit too, but also figuring out what that truly looks like. I think one of the things how I want to say that is defunding police is a national narrative, but it is a local action. And people have to look at that as to what they need to do locally for their individual law enforcement agency to make their agency and community be the way that they want. You can't really base that on another, on a large organization and I don't want to get too far into it, but just statistically, 18,000 law enforcement agencies across this country, 15,000 of those have no more than 25 employees. So you got to understand their budgets are not going to be $10 million like Atlanta PD or even Durham PD. So just to have those kind of conversations and bringing folks in with different perspectives and conversations that may be uncomfortable. Some people maybe, and then may be uncomfortable how we address these issues and the perspective we bring to it. And what I've decided that I need to do that in order to make sure I'm out here helping folks navigate this issue. And hopefully we'll learn from that. So Harmony, you got any?
Yeah. So I have been reading All About Love by Bell Hooks. And, I don't ever make, what are they called? New Year's. See, I don't even know what they're called. New Year's resolutions, because I'm like, it's just another day to me. But I have, before the thing at the Capitol happened, I was reading this book, and I'd really decided that I wanted to model my life more closely to a life that is lived solely from the purpose of love. And so when we are having these conversations, I hope that people, even if you're uncomfortable, you remember that the point of the podcast is not to make you comfortable. Like, we're not talking about our weekend at the mall. We're not talking about funny stories. Like, this is real stuff that affects families for generations to come. So there was this one quote from All About Love by Bell Hooks that says, "Where the will to power is paramount, love will be lacking." And I think that is such a poignant statement as we go into 2021. I think the really beautiful thing about BJ and I's friendship, and I think a lot of the relationships that we both have, because of how we are able to adjust our perspectives, don't necessarily agree with us. And we're not here to say that somebody's perspective is right or wrong. We value all perspectives. Just because I don't agree with it, even if I think it's complete bullshit, that doesn't mean that it's less valid. So this is a place where we can talk about things that are tough, where we can have varying perspectives, where we can have various solutions to the same problem. And that's what we're here to do. We're here to have these conversations with each other. We're hoping that we can engage you guys in these conversations, because this isn't something that any one person is going to be able to solve clearly, or else I think that it would have been solved by now.
Exactly. No, thank you. I love that. Yeah. And that's, it really does come from that space. I think I kind of, again, I keep saying that because Harmony and we did a couple of rides, and we were able to kind of sit and chat. because I really want this comes from the space of just wanting folks to be safe and us to try to help you navigate that and hopefully be a part of that. You know, we want to help, we want to be a part of that. And one of the things that we're going to do, and I don't know if those of you that have been with us for a few, you remember the defund policing broadcast that we did, that some of my ex-colleagues joined us. We've decided that we are going to have them back on a regular basis. And that series or a reoccurring event podcast, we're going to be calling it We Are Allies. And the reason I chose that is because it's made up of Black folks and Black police officers. And a lot of times members of the community who are, I want to say, not necessarily anti-police, but have an issue with law enforcement, don't see Black officers as allies. And we are. We want the same thing. We see stuff in our own communities, and that can be, we feel like we can contribute to helping our communities move forward. And we want people to see us as allies. So I'm really looking forward to that, because we're going to be bringing that perspective as Black police officers, how in fact, we're hopefully going to be having a guest on who's doing some research in this moment, how it's affecting Black police officers. This thing at Capitol Police, that just happened, obviously, that everybody knows about. Just read an article where those Black officers are doing their job and they're being called nigger the whole time they're doing the job. And so they're police officers, and individuals, doing what they do are just mad at them for being a popo and then throwing nigger on top of it. So people don't realize it's just a little extra for Black officers in this community. So, we want to just try to hit it from all perspectives and appreciate you guys joining us. We're looking forward to this 2021. Our team is here back together. Like I said, for Andrew, I hope those of you that might listen to the last show. So our team members, Abby Bradidich, our PR consultant, media consultant, and our producer, Chris Downey. So we're all excited about getting it back on and doing this again and having some fun, hopefully, along the way.
And BJ, can I intercept before you?
Yeah.
Are you about to round it out?
Almost, but go right ahead.
Okay,
it's your show too.
Ooh, bloop, period. So, you had said that we are allies, and that's definitely something that I agree with. We obviously share, I think, some of the same views, but it's like on a spectrum, right? And so I personally believe, and I feel like this is something that I need to communicate to people, I believe that we need complete reform of the police department. I think policing as it is now is intended to be abusive. And I think that, when you're critiquing an abusive structure that was created to be abusive, it almost kind of feels counterintuitive. So I hope that with a reading that I've been doing in All About Love and some other resources that I've been looking into, maybe presenting an alternate perspective of not policing, because to me, policing has just, I don't know, this connotation and this inherent meaning that there is some division of power. So I don't know, maybe I could bring in a different perspective on how we could have, I don't even want to say compassionate policing, because it just doesn't, the two don't go together for me, but I don't have another word for it. Because I think that, a lot of the times we get caught up in the technical aspects of, okay, well, did this person do this? Did the officer do that? When we're really missing the dynamic and the systems that create these types of chaotic interactions.
Did you see my eyes glaze over?
Wow.
No, actually, there is.
Wow, Chris, can you add in a shots fired audio clip right there, please?
No, but you can be compassionate, and I think for me the word is humanity. I think that officers, it's okay to show your humanity.
Right.
And
we definitely agree.
Yeah. So yeah, there is a space for that. There's a space for that. It's just how you gotta, and we will probably get into this conversation a little deeper with some of the guests, but that's part of that it's up to you, in my opinion, it's up to you as a police officer my interaction with you see me in my uniform, but if I'm doing what I'm supposed to do as a human, you should see my humanity beyond that uniform. And to me, that's compassion. And if I have done that, then I have reached you beyond just being there in a uniform. And that's compassion for me. And that's heavy lifting. And officers, they're out there that are doing that. It's just some folks may not be doing it as well as others. But yeah, there's a space for compassion. Yeah.
I definitely think that there is a space for compassion. And I think a lot of people get into the job so that they, can be this beacon of hope or light, or because they want to help people.
Yeah.
But again, when you think of the history of policing and what it's meant to do,
yes,
it is a power divide. So there are the police who enforce law and order, and then there are the citizens. And because there is this hierarchy, it goes back to that quote that I read you by Bell Hooks. Let me find it. I just had it. Oh, heck. It's like when I need to find it, I can't.
A little sticky in it?
Where the will to power is paramount, love will be lacking.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that the whole idea of policing is to have somebody or a group of people in power of another subgroup of people to make sure that they are following the rules, which I don't know who deemed the rules to be valid or important, but these are the rules. These are our social norms and culture.
Right. Yes.
And so I guess what I'm saying is, in order to really, and from my perspective anyway, in order to really change the way that police do their jobs, in order to change, I think, the relationship between police and community, there can't be a power divide. There cannot be a hierarchy where somebody is, technically above another person. To me, that doesn't work because it's not coming from a place of love. It's coming from a place of power. It's coming from a place of, in a lot of ways, a lot of autonomy to, you know what I mean? Like letting your judgment kind of affect, how you react or don't react.
Yes.
So I guess that's what I'm saying. Not that there's not a place. There definitely is a place. And I think that, BJ, you are one of the most compassionate people that I've ever met.
Thank you.
But again, I think that when police officers, they want to do a good job like you and, tons of other police officers that want to do a good job, they get into this field that forces them to be in these predicaments of power. And again, I just don't think that mutual love and respect can really exist when there is such that obvious divide. Does that make sense?
It does, and it does work. It does work.
You think it does work?
Because
okay.
Because if the right person, if you're doing it, and again, we can, this is a really good conversation that hopefully you will bring up again as we talk to some of our guests. We'll bring some perspectives, probably similar to yours. That's what we want to talk about, the community, how to get involved, because communities say what laws are written, how they're enforced. So to kind of tamp some of that power down, you know what I'm saying? So do you really want to, continue to be the guy that writes the ticket for the homeless guy just because he jaywalked? Well, no, we don't need to be writing tickets for the homeless guy because he's jaywalking, because that's all he does all day. Why you got to keep writing him tickets? Figure out something else. The community dictates, this is the power that I want my law enforcement. I don't need my law enforcement sitting around writing a bunch of tickets for something that's really not compassionate. You know what I'm saying? Why would you continue to abuse that kind of stuff? So I think it can work. It's just the community has to figure out what that power looks like. Because at some point, the popo got to be the popo. We all understand that. But when you
why? Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like that is, I think because it is a norm.
No. When I say popo got to be the popo, popo will have to enforce laws.
Right. And why? Do you get what I'm saying? Like, why have we created a system that works like this? Like, are we just going to say that, human nature is to be bad and to be deviant? Or are we just not thinking expansively enough about the police having to be the police? Like, is there not, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think that this season, that's something that I want to explore a little bit more is how can we think outside of the box and outside of really the constraints of capitalism to see, if we could imagine what an ideal relationship would look like between, whether it's the police or whatever, we decide to name it, how they interact with community members, because they should be considered a part of the community. That's the thing.
Yes.
And I think that when we're
Yes.
talking about, the community does this, that, and the third, police are kind of excluded from that for a number of reasons, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
my thing is, if you're invested in the community, if you are a part of the community, that's why
Mm-hmm.
community policing works.
Yes.
You have an investment in it, and it's a lot different than,
Yes.
you go home 20 miles away and you
Yes.
don't have to see these people until you're on the clock again.
Yes. I mean, you just said it in a UNCG, got a degree and I don't have one, is that basically that's it. The community and the police have to talk about what do you want this to look like. When I was talking about it in the beginning, what we want to try to do is the narrative is national, but the actions are local. What do you want, like you just said, so how do I want my police to interact? Would I prefer to have most police officers in my little small community who live in my community instead of 20 miles down the road? What do we need to do to make that happen in my community? Because I know that Harmony lives in my communities. And I know she wants to be a police officer. How can I make that happen? What does that look like? Because I know she's going to be compassionate. And this is,
In theory, I would make a horrendous police officer.
Well, as long as we feed her, she'll be all right. But so you got to be at the table in order to have this conversation with the community, and that to me, what you're saying. I guess what I'm trying. What I agree with what you're saying. What I'd like to say is that's local conversation. That's not a national conversation. It's a national conversation, but it's a local action because each community has to decide on what that looks like. Because
absolutely.
So
Yeah.
Everything that you're saying, then all that discussion needs to be locally because it's going to be
agree.
different. So yeah, it can work. It's just gotta get them to the table.
But I think we have to be brave enough and we have to be creative enough to really think critically and in a way that we weren't taught to think, and in a way that we're not used to.
Yes.
Why do we have to live in a society where somebody has to be in power and where somebody has to enforce? And then I'd also kind of like to pose this to you, BJ, for reflection. When we were talking about how community integration is necessary for, community members and police officers, when we're coming to the table to have these conversations, and I think that's why we're able to do it so well, there is not a hierarchy. You're not the boss of me. I'm not the boss of you. When we walk out of here, you have absolutely no effect on my, well, I mean, you do, but you don't, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We are equals in this conversation versus, if we do have community members and we do have police officers who are talking to them, generally, you can still feel that power divide.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because of a number of things, you know what I mean? And so that's what I say, that like typical policing, in my opinion, and the way that we've approached these conversations in the past, where there is that clear divide of, enforcer in power and, just regular average Joe. Mm-hmm. Clearly that's not going to create an environment where people even want to treat each other that way. Like think about, when somebody acts like they know more than you, that they're better than you. And I'm not saying that all police do this, but from a citizen's perspective, that's probably what it feels like. Like, you don't know anything about my neighborhood. You don't know anything about our lives or how we function here or why I do the things that I do because you're not from here, or you know what I mean? Like, you don't have the same background as me. Yeah. So of course there's going to be, some type of contentment and tension when you have folks that, don't have the emotional intelligence to really handle these interactions with people that are different than them. So yeah, that's what I've been thinking about. But also I feel like I'm trying to unlearn a lot of the things that I thought were so true and absolutely concrete. And I'm telling you, it's because of this book, BJ. I'm telling you, and I'm a shit talker. Like, I talk cash, S-H-I-T.
Why are you spelling it now? You just said it. But
you're right. I talk cash shit. I talk cash shit. But I'm even like reconsidering that. So it's like, wow, am I actually a good person now? I don't, remains to be seen.
Just because you got new eyelashes, that's all that is.
Right. I got new eyelashes and I read my first book of 2021. So watch out, world. And I got jail polish on my toes. Okay.
TMI.
She is next level.
No, I agree with you. I agree. It's a different kind of conversation. It's a different way to reimagine what we want.
Hmm.
And everybody has to be saying, we all want something different. We just don't know what it looks like. And then when we come to the table, we're equals.
Hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah. So yeah, and just got to figure out how to do that and be willing to do that. We're coming to,
That's the biggest part,
yeah,
I
just
think.
we're all sitting here together. We all want to go home.
Right. Right.
We all want to go home. So
Right.
how do we make that better for us all?
Yeah.
We're all going to different spaces, but we all want to go home, and
Yeah.
let's figure that out. So yeah,
I
okay.
think we've been so heavily conditioned that somebody always has to be wrong, or somebody always has to be the bad guy, and it always has to be somebody's fault. And that's something that I've been really paying attention to lately. And perhaps it's nobody's fault. You know what I mean? It's no one individual's fault
Right,
that we're in this predicament.
right.
And perhaps, we need to move from blaming and shaming to
Mm-hmm.
accountability, because I think they're different. Blaming and shaming, in my
Yes,
opinion, is
yes,
very different than accountability, and
yes,
coming to people from a space of love and
yes,
continuing in that space of love even when it's difficult.
yes, yes.
And again, it's hard. Like, this is hard stuff.
Yeah, it
You know what I
is.
mean? In your day-to-day world, this is hard stuff to figure out.
Yes,
And then, of course, when you're talking about things that really matter, that have people's lives hanging in the balance, of
yes,
course, it's going to be an emotional conversation.
yes.
But perhaps it's nobody's fault.
Yeah,
Maybe we don't have to point fingers right now. Maybe we can just
yes,
share our experiences. And
yeah.
I definitely am somebody that believes in justice, but I believe in reconciliation and not the way that we think about justice typically. And so perhaps this is something that we could also talk about at a later date. But
Yeah.
for me, when I was able to start looking at things from a perspective of, you don't have to be wrong. You know what I mean? You could be clueless, you could be ignorant, you could be, this or that, but you don't have to be wrong, and you don't have to be the villain. One thing that really challenged me was, what was the lady's name who was shot by Capitol Police?
Ashley. I think it first.
Ashley.
I think it was Ashley.
Yeah, Ashley, you're right. People are posting on Facebook all of these really crude memes, and I'm not
Mhm.
going to lie to you, I did laugh. And then I had this moment where I had to come back to myself and say, I don't agree with this woman. I don't agree with the way that she lived her life. I don't agree with the things that she probably thought about people that looks like me. But at the end of the day, this is a loss of human life. And I don't want to be like them. I don't want to be a person that's making fun of somebody else that died,
Right.
regardless of the circumstances. And so I think that we have to remember that, like, even if we don't agree with people, even if we don't agree with what they stand for, there is a way to not like somebody, to not care for somebody, to completely disagree with someone and not respect their views. But it's a completely different thing to then not respect them as a person and not give them the ability to be human. Did your
Love
eyes
you.
just glaze over again?
You are just
Also,
weird.
can I say one more thing? Look,
No,
okay, I just said that, but also let me say this: the people that are all like, "Oh, Ashley," I don't remember her last name, but like, say
Mhm.
her name, blah blah blah. First of all, these people are terrorists. So let y'all know I'm not going soft on these people. These people are terrorists, and I guarantee you, these same people who were looking at, what was his name, Osama bin Laden and Saddam Hussein.
Mhm.
I can't believe I remember that because I was like 6. But anyway, these people aren't gonna have any compassion for them. You know what I mean? Like, they're not gonna say, oh well, what we did is exactly the same, just on a smaller scale. So I don't know. These people are terrorists. They need to be held accountable, but we also can rise above and not also retaliate in that hate, because it's all consuming and it's heavy.
Yeah, and I wasn't going to say my eyes glazed. I actually was getting ready to say that was really good.
Oh,
I mean, because you're right. The bottom line is it's all about humanity.
I
No
feel like we
matter,
should just go live on a combine. You want to go? Let's just go.
I don't know.
What? So you wouldn't want to live in like a hippie compound with me?
Maybe.
Wow.
I mean,
It'd be your own people, but you know what,
Okay.
BJ? You're not even fun enough to be in my hippie commune, so you're not invited anymore.
So, wow, Pastor Chavis, that was really good. That was awesome. Thank you.
You're still not coming to my compound, so. Flattery gets you nowhere with me, only food.
So thank you, Harmony, for the chat and the lesson about humanity, and that we just need to, but we need to work on just being human to each other, and that's it, so we can solve this issue. So thanks for listening to our first one. Hope everybody is healthy and safe doing this one. We're really looking forward to 2021. And again, what we do is we help individuals interact safely with law enforcement, and we're also trying to figure out if we can be of service to local community folks to how to help them based on a lot of what Harmony just got through saying, that we come to the space to figure out together collectively. No power struggle, that we just sit and we just chat and we figure out, what do we want? We want to all go home. What does that look like for this community? What does that space look like? Respecting each other, realizing a lot of differences are going to be there, but the main thing is safety and getting home. And how do we do that without having this power divide in the room, because it's all about humanity. So I appreciate Harmony doing that. So we look forward to you guys join us. We're excited about being out on Apple and Spotify. I feel like
You're a grown-up podcaster now. You can really call yourself a podcaster. Do you have an Instagram, BJ? You should put that in your bio.
No, I have an Instagram that Abby takes care of. Abby does.
No, I'm talking about your personal Instagram. First of all, you need your Juan Pablo photo from her Zoom. So BJ, I really hope that you'll post this for the people that are going to watch this on YouTube. She looks like a Mexican man from a telenovela. And then like in your bio, it should be like podcaster, link in bio.
Nope. And Abby, do not do anything with that. So even if Harmony tries to email you on a download, do not participate. So anyway, welcome to 2021 of UN50 here in the Bull City. And as always, stay well. Peace.